What I am playing with today is the Victrola VV-2-60 portable. This was Victor's premium portable model in 1927 and 1928. And it's like all of their premium models at this era. They're big, they're heavy, and kind of interesting too. And we'll go into that. This machine's been on the channel before, I'm going to say 8 years ago. It's been in storage for a while, so I have it out to open it up and oil it up. Take care of the basic maintenance before I play it. I have it apart here. Let's take a look at this. And there's one thing you notice right away that you don't usually see with these machines. And that is that its tone arm support is intact. That's an original pot metal tone arm support. They have a bad habit of shattering right around in here and crumbling apart, as pot metal will do. And they also would normally have a gold-plated number 4 reproducer. And that is also made out of pot metal and tends to crumble very badly. So you rarely find one of these machines intact with this part, or this part over here, which is also pot metal. That little bucket there. Everything else is usually pretty good, but not that. Another issue with the 2-60 is the covering. This is leatherette. It is solidly attached on the sidewalls, but the bottom and the top, you see that has give? That's padded. So what happens is splits develop here and here and here, and they spread open and they look like crap. This one's got a few little cracks here and there, but it's really not bad. And it shouldn't be black. It should be more of a blue-green color. And there's also, I believe, a red one too, but this, well, reddish. Blue-green. But somebody in the past has treated this probably to black shoe dye. It wasn't me, it's how I bought it. And that's fine, you know, if that was hiding some sins here and there and making it improved and preserving the cover, that's good. No problem there, I'm not worried about that. Another thing to watch out for on these is, of course, the leather handle. This is a heavy machine. Never, ever pick one of these up that has this kind of leather handle. The Victor Victrola 50, the Victor Victrola 35 with the metal handles, no problem. But these, and why? I'll show you why. That's why. So, and you can imagine what happens when that happens when you're trying to carry it. Down it goes and shatters on the ground. So you don't want to do that. I have to replace this handle, you know, so it's been broken since I got it actually. And I know there's replacements out there, I just have to find them. The number 4 reproducer I'm using on here is actually one of the rare all brass number 4 reproducers that I rebuilt for this machine. I was lucky enough to find this, mostly by accident. These are very hard to come by, and usually your only choice is to go to a Victrola number 2 or even an exhibition, and or try to find an all brass number 4 on maybe UK eBay, one of HMV's number 4s. If you can find one, they're getting a little scarce too. These are hen's teeth. This is a Victor number 4 all brass. This is unobtainium. Now, one thing I did stumble across, I have more than one of these 60s, but the other ones all suffer from bad tone arm supports. This is a modern reproduction brass tone arm support for this machine. I do not know who was manufacturing these, or if they still are. I suspect they're not. I found it on eBay. I guess it was somebody's spare and they decided to sell it. You know, it goes, replaces that right there, take the 2 screws off, pop it out, put that one in. This machine doesn't need it, but I have another that does, and it'll eventually get used there. Now, this machine is number 40,284. That's 1927. See the tag on there. Like I said, they were only made for the 2 years, 1927 and 1928. And being a premium model, they have the gold plate. And the little gold screws would go here, the gold needle box. Now, let's take a look underneath here. We have a single spring motor, which was rebuilt a while back, but I just oiled everything up. And I will show you, that is the label right there, the patent label for the 260 is dated 1927, March 10th, 1927. There's your oiling diagram on there. Straightforward stuff. And usually they'll have all of this because it's hidden under the board. And you can see the motor is, you know, it's typical standard for these machines at this time. These pancake style motors like this started with the Victrola 35 and were used in this machine and were also used in the other premium model that came out after this, the 2-55, which was the orthophonic portable with the steel box. This is a wooden box. The 255 was steel. Let's open it up and have a look inside this. You can see it's got a nice shelf here for storing records. A lot of times that's missing. It's been damaged over the years and falls out, but this one still has it. And you can see what they did here. This is the horn. The horn opening in the back and goes here, all around and out. That's wood. Instead of a metal folding horn that the 255 would get, 2-55, this has a highly complex wooden horn. I've never tried to count how many pieces of individual wood there are in this, but it's well over 20, I know that much. You can see how they've constructed this. Look at this, how they put that together. The construction of that is just fantastic. A lot of times what you want to do if you have one of these, go over them and make sure there's been no gaps developing in the individual pieces of wood that could lead to an air leak that will affect your sound quality. So you want to go over it and make sure it's in good shape. And this one actually is. So there's no real problems there. And it's really easy to service. It's 6 screws on the motorboard, and the whole motorboard lifts right out. You don't even have to take the turntable off. I only did it here to show where this label is and the serial number is. And you can see, I'm not sure, is that, you know, this is green. This might have originally been a black machine, I think, because that is actually black in there. It looks black anyway, and nobody has gone over the Victrola label on there. So chances are this actually was a black machine all along. I believe that was one of the colors that the 2-60 was offered in. And this is all hardwood under there of some kind. At least I assume it is hardwood. Hard to tell with the covering on it. I mean, this was the style of machine that was around in 1927. The last all, finished wood machine Victor would make as a portable was the Victrola 50. This actually sold for, I believe, a little bit less money than the 50 did. I think the 50 was $50. I think this might have been $45, somewhere around here. But still, you're looking at almost $700 in today's money. It was definitely a premium price tag on this. And they would make it until they would continue to sell it probably right through the end of the Victor company, what was left in inventory. And it was the last of the non-orthophonic portables, premium portables they would offer. And of course, the company was sold in 1928 to RCA. RCA discontinued the 2-55. And that really, they had a 2-65 they would make afterwards. That was also considered a premium model, but it wasn't really a Victrola. It used outside sourced parts that were shipped into the factory and simply put together, assembled, and much more cheaply made than this was. This has a lot of hand fitting and hand work to it. The RCA 2-65, not so much. We had I think the horn was paper mache and, very light woods used, and a much cheaper style of cover on there, because I always seem to find them ripped and torn up much more often than I do these. So if you do have a crumbled tone arm support, there is hope out there. If I found one, that means there's others. And it could be that somebody is actually still making them. I just don't know who. Like I said, I bought it from a random eBay seller who got it who knows where. Okay. And one other thing to mention on these. If you buy one on eBay and it has an intact tone arm mount, you want to tell the seller to remove these 3 screws right here And then this whole assembly lifts right off with the tone arm. Pack that separately in a box with lots of bubble wrap. Because if you try to ship this machine with this intact like that, what's going to happen the first time the box is banged around in transit is this is going to whip around. It's going to break your tonearm support. It's going to shatter it every single time. So make sure if you do buy one of these and it does have an intact mount, that you have them remove it and pack it separately. Even if you have to pay extra shipping, it's worth it. Let me tell you something. The replacement part here, this was not cheap. Not cheap at all. So you want to make sure that you preserve that if at all possible. And the same thing for the 2-55. Even though that doesn't break quite as often, it does break enough times that you don't want it. You know, if the machine is roughly handled in transit, and it will be, then you want to make sure that you protect this. See, that's the key for the lock. It even has that. This is a pretty intact machine. And like most portables, it just has a simple gold-plated knob type adjustment. There's no dial on there or anything like that. These have a very nice sound. Nice sort of mellow tone, probably from the wood, I think. I will play it in another video. I have to do the rest of the maintenance. I'll put it back together, clean the outer cover a little bit better. It's a little bit dirty from sitting around. You know, like I said, it has been played in a long time. I had it in storage, so. And eventually, you're going to see me work on another one when I get around to it. Actually, I have to find it. I don't know exactly what I did with it. I have it packed away. But I do have another one of these that I'm going to take all apart and service and everything else. And I have a parts one too that I'm going to strip entirely for parts, including taking out all the wood from the horn so you can see exactly how that goes together. Sometimes if these things have been exposed to dampness, you will find that there's been separations in here and splits, and you're going to have to do some gluing and clamping or patching, which is easy enough to do. It's hidden from sight. If you screw it up a little bit, it's not going to be the end of the world. And you want to remember, if you ever take the motorboard off, that you don't lose the felt washer there. That has to be there, otherwise you're going to have a massive air leak. And there you go. The VV-2-60.